Hey everyone, it's Sal here. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. So today I'm going to be talking about some perfumes that I would not recommend you to blind buy. Definitely be wary of these fragrances. Definitely sample them first if you can. If you are new to my channel, then a very warm welcome. I create new perfume videos every single Wednesday and Saturday minimum. So if that's something that would interest you, then please don't forget to click the wee subscribe button below, and feel free to activate the notification bell as well if you would like to be notified every time I post. Without further ado, it's time to sit back, relax, grab yourself a drink or a snack, leave a comment below with your drink of choice. Today I have some coffee with me. So I purchased Italica. Now I saw that Demi Rawling was doing a promotion with Xerjoff, so if you used her code you would get 10% off your order and you would receive a free hair mist of Gran Ballo. Now I actually do really like Gran Ballo, so when I heard that this promotion was on, I sort of thought, you know what, I'm gonna go for it this time because I really would quite like the Gran Ballo hair mist. I have sampled a few from Xerjoff. I tried a few and I hadn't tried Italica. I hadn't sampled this one before. I knew I liked Bouquet Ideal. That's the funny thing, you know, I could have totally chosen that one. And I knew I liked it, but for some reason I thought actually I'm gonna go for Italica because So I went for this one, you guys. How beautiful is the bottle in this lighting? It's kind of this italic, I don't know if you'd call, no, metallic. It's like a metallic kind of gorgeous bottle, you know. And I was so sure I would love this fragrance. Honestly, I was like 99% certain I would just love it. And when I first sprayed this fragrance, like, I was so disappointed, you guys. I felt so ill because it's not cheap and it wasn't what I was hoping. So Italica, the notes of this fragrance, from what I can remember, you have your toffee, vanilla, saffron, almond, musk, and I think that's those are the notes that I can remember, and those are the main notes that I can smell anyway. So it's kind of a warm, like spicy, gourmand, sweet fragrance with main notes of like toffee and almond. Like I really get the almond, and there's a kind of soft spiciness to it from the saffron. So I mean, you would think from that it's a wonderful scent, and of course it doesn't smell bad. This doesn't smell bad. But the thing with this one is I read somewhere on Fragrantica that someone had written a review and they had described this as smelling very similar to a dusty scented candle, and I sort of thought, you know, no way. Of course, the first time I smell this, what do I smell? An old, like, dusty scented candle. So I was really very disappointed. I've just remembered there's sandalwood in here as well, so it's got a woodiness. But the first time I smelt this, that's immediately what I thought of, you guys. I immediately was reminded of like a scented candle, warm, soft, spicy, sweet scented candle, you know, that's kind of dusty. That's what this fragrance immediately reminded me of, and let me tell you, I was so disappointed. I was just so disappointed. There's a milk note in here as well that I really kind of wanted to get because I don't really have another fragrance in my collection with a strong milky note. I was really looking forward to that in this, and I do kind of get it. So the more I've smelt this over the last few days, I got this, I think it arrived the other day, and the more I'm smelling it, the more it is growing on me. But I just want to warn you, I would not say that this is a safe blind buy at all. I really wouldn't say that it is, because if you just pick up on that sort of scented candle vibe, that's, you know, that could very easily put you off the whole thing, you know, and it almost completely put me off. But I've kind of stuck with it and I'm testing it more and more, and it is growing on me. So now what it kind of smells like to me is almost like a chai latte, like a really frothy, milky, kind of sweet and spicy chai latte kind of scent, and that's what this reminds me of now. It does still have that kind of scented candle vibe to it, like the dusty candle vibe. It does, but it's reminding me of other things now, and the more I'm wearing it, the more I'm able to like pick up on the notes in here, and the more I'm appreciating it. but this could have been like a really upsetting blind buy fail for me. It really could have been. Like the first day that this arrived, I felt really sad actually. Like I felt just so disappointed that I'd been silly and just blind bought it when I know that I shouldn't have blind bought it, but I did it anyway because I'm a numpty basically. So the more I smell this, the more I do enjoy it. I just think the thing that really caught me off guard with this one is how dry it is. This is not, because it has the milk notes in here, I was expecting it to be kind of like creamy, like smooth, not so dry. This is very woody to me, like, and very dry of almonds. If you almost imagine like powdered almonds, like dry with like saffron, but there's no moisture whatsoever. It's like a dry scent, and I think that's what's reminding me of like a kind of dusty candle. But like I say, the more I'm trying it, the more it is growing on me. It's reminding me more of a nice sweet chai latte, which of course is much nicer than an old dusty candle, you know. I would just be a little bit wary. I wouldn't be so quick to dive in and purchase it, because there's more to this one. It's a very, like, the texture of this is kind of chalky. It's really the type of fragrance that I would recommend sampling for sure. Not a safe blind buy, not at all. It's funny because I thought this would have been a safe blind buy. Like I actually thought I could have recommended it to you as a safe blind buy almost, you know, if you like sweet gourmand fragrances, but that's not the case. Even if you enjoy gourmand scents, this might not be for you because it's just kind of unusual. It has that dry, powdered, chalky texture to it from the almonds and the sandalwood, I believe. It's kind of unusual, but it does have that vibe to it that reminds me of like a scented candle. So we'll see how I get on with this one, you guys. Keep your fingers crossed for me. Let's hope that I grow to love this one. The next fragrance in my collection that I definitely would not blind buy is Mugler Aura. Now, I believe I've already mentioned this on my channel, but I just really want to like emphasize this to you guys. Definitely don't blind buy this. The amount of comments I've read, you know, with such varying opinions on this, it's quite significant, you know. I would definitely try and sample this one first, or, you know, if you can't help it, if you're not able to sample it and you really feel like you have to blind buy it, then I would go for the smaller size, because this really isn't for everyone. It's a very strange smell. It appeals to me because it's a green medicinal scent, but it has a very warm, woody, vanillic base to it, and I find it very enjoyable. I really enjoy the scent. I find it very unusual, very womanly, feminine, and all of those things, but definitely do not, if you can avoid blind buying it, I would avoid that. I would definitely sample it. You know, just because I rave about it doesn't mean that you would also like it, so definitely be wary of this one, you guys. I would hate for any of you to have purchased this, you know, like based on my positive reviews of it, only to be very disappointed by it. You know, that's really not what I would want to happen, so just be wary of this fragrance. Definitely try and sample it first. So that is Mugler Aura. The next fragrance that I definitely wouldn't blind buy is actually one from Nasomatto, and that is Narcotic V. So this fragrance isn't really at all what I was expecting. I'm just gonna spray some on here to remind myself of how this smells. So this perfume really smells an awful lot like Gucci Bloom. So if it was me personally, I would just purchase Gucci Bloom because it is a much more affordable scent. It's in a beautiful bottle. It's a very nice fragrance. I did used to own that one, but it is a really good fragrance and it smells very similar to this one in my opinion. This one from Nasomatto is not cheap. Now, I believe the Nasomatto fragrance is a very high quality fragrance. You know, it uses a higher concentration of oils, I think, from what I've read anyway, and you know, it's kind of a niche quality, high quality scent. So, you know, they're not identical. I'm not saying that they're both the same quality. I'm just saying, as far as the scent itself is concerned, Gucci Bloom and Narcotic V are extremely similar to me. So that's something just to bear in mind first of all. The other thing with this one is it's a nice tuberose scent, but I was expecting it to be a bit sweeter. I was expecting this to be a bit more of a bubblegummy like tuberose. I kind of thought it was going to be this very, very girly, sweet scent, and when I first sprayed it, I was kind of taken aback because it wasn't how I was expecting it to smell. To me, this is a very, very fleshy, realistic kind of floral scent, but it's very, very floral, you know, there's nothing else really going on in here to kind of balance that in a way. It's just a very, very floral perfume. Just, you know, for me personally, if I had blind purchased this fragrance, I would have been disappointed. So that's why I just wanted to forewarn you. It's kind of, there's something fleshy in here, almost verging on green or like earthy, because it's so realistic. Like, it's just a very, very floral perfume, if you know what I mean. So I would just bear that in mind. Definitely try and sample it first. I ordered this sample from Notino. You can order samples from there. I wouldn't be blind purchasing this one because it's not cheap. I think, in my personal opinion, I think Gucci Bloom is just as nice. It's very, very similar, so I would maybe go for that one instead. Just be wary of this one, you guys. Order a sample first. The quality is good. I mean, it's a very strong, long-lasting fragrance. This fragrance comes in a 30ml, but it's very concentrated, so I mean, there is that. Some people would love this, you know, but I'm just warning you, I would definitely sample this one first. It's probably not going to be everyone's cup of tea, just because it's very, very floral, very like fleshy, realistic, like flowers. You would just smell of blooming flowers, tuberose, and things like that. So that's Narcotic V from Nasomatto. The next fragrance I wouldn't blind buy is Cassili from Parfums de Marly. Now I have this wee sample of the fragrance here, courtesy of Lizzie from Rose & Jones. So thank you very much, Lizzie, for the sample. I'm really glad I managed to sample this fragrance first. It's really windy there. I was actually tempted to blind buy this one myself, so I'm glad I managed to sample it first, you know. So I get a very peachy scent from this, and some yellow florals, and it's also slightly tropical to me. It's very sweet, it's creamy, it's a really nice scent, but there's something in here almost slightly tropical to my nose anyway. Yeah, it reminds me of being on holiday to an island or something like that, and having a kind of cocktail drink with lots of fruit in it and like peaches. Like a peach Bellini, this almost reminds me of, and it has a tropical vibe to it. So although that sounds very nice, and I'm sure, you know, I know many people do enjoy this one, and it is a good fragrance. I'm not trying to say it's a bad fragrance at all, because it's not. It's just not my cup of tea. And if I had purchased this without trying it beforehand, I would have been disappointed, because it's not the kind of fragrance that I would want to wear personally. It's kind of too tropical, too summery, too much emphasis on the yellow florals and this kind of peachy quality that I'm smelling from this fragrance. Now I don't know if peach is one of the notes, but overall this is giving me a vibe of kind of peaches, maybe peaches and cream with yellow florals and a kind of tropical feeling to it, if you know what I mean. It's a very particular scent, and if you don't get on with it, I can imagine that you really wouldn't get on with it, if you know what I mean. It's like a very, very strong, definite kind of fragrance, very strong with those kind of fruity nuances in there, very strong with the yellow florals, very tropical to my nose, and for me personally, that really wouldn't be for me. This fragrance isn't for me at all. So if I had purchased it blindly, then I would have been very, very disappointed by that, you know. So that is Cassili from Parfums de Marly, a fragrance that I think you should try because it is interesting. It's in a beautiful bottle as well. I would have loved to own the bottle because it is stunning. And it is a good fragrance, you know, like it's a really good fragrance, but it's just not for me personally, and I would just sort of make you aware of that, you know, that it has a tropical vibe, it's kind of yellow floral, and fruity as well. So that's Cassili from Parfums de Marly. The next fragrance I definitely would not blind buy is Mukhallat from Montale. Now, you know, there's so many reasons as to why I wouldn't blind buy this. It's very, very unusual. it has an almost plasticky like vibe to it, and there's a very, very strong prominent note of strawberry in here. Now in a way I'm kind of surprised that I love it so much, because I wouldn't have thought I wouldn't have necessarily thought this would be my cup of tea, but I do love it. I sampled this before, you know, I ordered a sample first and then I ordered the full bottle. Very strong of strawberry, particularly upon the first application. There's something almost balsamic in here. It has that nuttiness. It's got a kind of cloudy, thick, creamy texture to it from the almond notes in here, I believe. There is vanilla in here. There is musk as well. Gorgeous fragrance, you guys. I mean, I would recommend trying this. I would recommend ordering a sample from Notino, but I wouldn't blind buy this. I really wouldn't. It's very, very unusual. There's something almost reminiscent of bubblegum in here as well, like the Hubba Bubba pink bubblegum. I'm smelling that really strongly on the test strip today. That's the first time I've noticed that about this fragrance, actually. I've never noticed that about it before. Very, very sweet, and emphasis on the strawberry. There's like a woodiness in here, bubblegum kind of scent, and overall I can see this not being for everyone. I've read a few comments from you guys actually in previous videos. I think somebody mentioned that it reminded them of a car air freshener type of scent, which I can totally understand why you would think that, you know, it's that kind of unusual scent that could almost remind you of that, or like plastic. Or I read some comments on Fragrantica where many compared this to the scented dolls, you know, that you used to be able to get. So overall, this is a very, it's a kind of bewitching fragrance. It's very, very unusual, very interesting, intriguing, unlike anything I've tried before actually, and that's why I love it. Like, I personally adore this for all of those reasons. I think it's amazing actually, but it's definitely not going to be for everyone. Trust me on that. It might not be for you. Sample it first. Order a wee sample from Notino. They're really good for having samples of, you know, various fragrances on there. So just give it a sample and then decide for yourself. One thing I will say about this actually is it lasts a very long time and it's very, very potent. I believe that's the case for most of the Montale fragrances, but I just thought it was worth mentioning that as well as like a good point for this one. Very, very strong, very potent. I suppose that could go against it if you realised you really didn't like it, because it is quite a persistent scent, I would say. But that is Mukhallat, a very, very intriguing, unusual, almost avant-garde or something like that. It almost reminds me of an artwork, you know, a scented artwork or something like that, because it is so unusual, almost in the same way that Aura is unusual, you know, very like conceptual, very daring, you know. So that's Mukhallat from Montale. The next fragrance that I would not blind buy is Hypnotic Poison Eau de Parfum from Dior. Now, I don't think this would be a safe blind buy actually. I think the Eau de Toilette would be a safer blind buy if you enjoy vanilla and almond, and if you enjoy cozy, sweet, cake-like gourmand scents. I think it's safe to say many people would enjoy Hypnotic Poison Eau de Toilette. That's more likeable in my opinion. The Eau de Parfum is a bit more daring. This has more attitude about it. This has a spiciness to it that I don't think would be everyone's cup of tea at all. I've run out of test strips, haven't I? I'll just need to spray it in the air. I would say, yeah, this is a very, very particular, dark, mysterious, spicy, sweet, very heavy on the licorice type of scent. This is a very licorice heavy fragrance. I believe there's also vanilla in here, there's almond, there is jasmine absolutes, orange blossom, the licorice and the tonka bean as well. So I believe it might be the licorice with the tonka bean that's giving this a very strong kind of thick spiciness, you know. This fragrance is still sweet, but it's also very spicy and quite woody as well. This one is also more floral than the Eau de Toilette is. So the Eau de Toilette is very much like a doughy, sweet vanilla fragrance. I think it was a subscriber that left a comment describing it as a doughy scent, and ever since then I've just thought that was such a fantastic description, you know, of the Eau de Toilette, and I would agree. So the Eau de Toilette, very gourmand, very cakey, almost, you know, like a vanilla and almond kind of cake, and it's very, it's lighter, it's kind of easy to like and sweet and just very pleasant, you know. But the Eau de Parfum, it's definitely got something more about it. It's a bit more interesting to me, it's a bit more complex, it's darker, it's more mysterious, spicy, more mature actually. I would definitely say that to me, the Eau de Parfum, it's more like daring, a bit edgier, more elevated and mature for sure. So from that point of view, I think it's a gorgeous fragrance, you know. I really enjoy this one, but do I think it would be for everybody? Absolutely not. Definitely try and sample this one first. So that is Hypnotic Poison Eau de Parfum. And last up today, the fragrances that I wouldn't recommend to blind buy are the Linterdy fragrances, just all of them from the line basically. The only one that I would maybe say is like a safe blind buy, although I haven't actually tried this one, so I don't know, but I'm thinking maybe like the Eau de Toilette or one of the lighter ones from the line might be a safer blind buy, but again, I don't actually know for sure, but just from what I've heard. But the ones that I've tried and the ones that I own, I wouldn't recommend blind purchasing. I just wouldn't, because they have a strong kind of vetiver note in them. This one, the original one, is kind of sharp to me, and it took me a while to actually get on with it. It wasn't really for me at first, I wouldn't say. It actually used to be in a declutter like category. It's definitely growing on me more now, and I do really enjoy this one now, but it wasn't for me at first, so just be wary of that. Similarly with the Intense, this has a very interesting creaminess to it, and it has a sesame note in there as well, which I don't think would be to everyone's liking. I've read in comments here and there that some people really love this addition of sesame and other people really don't like it. I think it is fairly strong in here. And to me, it blends very nicely with the vanilla, and it adds to the overall smooth, creamy nature of the Intense, and it kind of softens it up a bit. But I don't think it would be for everyone, you guys. So just bear that in mind when you know, if you're considering the Intense version. There's a sesame note in here. There's also a black pepper note in here, which thankfully I don't really. It's not too strong for me. But I would just bear that in mind, because you never know how it's gonna smell to you. Like, it might smell different on you, and you may very well pick up that black pepper note stronger than I do, so just bear that in mind as well. I personally adore this fragrance. I would recommend it, but I wouldn't necessarily blind buy it. So that's the Intense. Yeah, same with the original. I wouldn't blind purchase this either. I would definitely try it. And overall, if you're not a fan of tuberose, then I would say avoid all of the Linterdys, because they are primarily like a very, you know, sweet tuberose centered fragrance. So bear that in mind as well. But that's the Linterdy line. I love the line. I think they're fantastic fragrances. I do also like the Rouge. Funnily enough, I actually think that if you didn't get on well with these two, you might very well prefer the Rouge from the line, because it's like kind of sweeter, it's softer, it's more diffused, it's not got that very, it's not very punchy, it's not sharp at all, it's like softer, easier to like, I would say, and like sweeter. So I would maybe give the Rouge a try. You know, if you haven't tried any from the line, I would maybe even start with Rouge, like sample that one first and then work your way through them, because to me that one would be like easier to like overall. So there we have it, you guys. Those are some fragrances I definitely wouldn't blind buy. I really hope that this video has been helpful for you. The last thing I would want to happen, honestly, is that any of you have like watched a video of mine where I've been really raving about fragrance, and you have then gone and purchased that fragrance and only to be disappointed by it. I would really hate for that to happen. So I'm just forewarning you, as a general rule with any fragrance, I think it's always best to sample a fragrance first, like regardless. I don't really think there is such a thing as a blind buy that is totally safe. I just don't really think that's, you know, because you never know how it's going to smell on your skin and things like that. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it was helpful for you. If you enjoyed today's video, then you may also enjoy these other videos that I will leave up on the screen here. So a huge thank you to all of you for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it, share your thoughts in the comments section below. Take care, and I can't wait to see you again on my next video. Bye!